I'm Aimee from Tualatin Public Library.
Hi, I'm Sam from Tualatin Public Library.
This week, we are discussing the New York Times Best Picture Books list. It's a short but sweet list, only 11 titles, and Sam's going to kick us off with our first title.
All right. Well, the first title that we are talking about is a book called I Talk Like a River, which we thoroughly discussed last week when we did the Publishers Weekly list. So we're not going to do too much duplication. 2 thumbs up from Aimee and I for this book.
Yep.
Okay.
Next was If You Come to Earth by Sophie Blackall, which I only got to read on ebook, but we both gave that a thumbs up as well.
Yes. Okay, now for something new. All right. The next book that we're going to talk about is called The Little Mermaid. Yes, That Little Mermaid, a classic story by Hans Christian Andersen, retold by Jerry Pinkney. This book has classic Jerry Pinkney illustrations. If you like his beautiful illustrating style, you will love this book. Big thumbs up from me.
I'm sure I would give it a thumbs up because I like the other fables and stories he's retold. So
yeah,
and he's an amazing illustrator.
He is.
Okay, our next book, Our Little Kitchen by Jillian Tamaki. Again, I read in ebook because I couldn't get a paper book form of it. It's an interesting story about volunteering at a soup kitchen and all the work it takes to run a soup kitchen and all the people you meet. So it's a very heartwarming, important story. Jillian Tamaki is a graphic artist. She's known for her graphic novels, and I didn't like the illustration so much in this book. It wasn't her normal style. So I would still give it a thumbs up because it's an important topic, but it wasn't a best book to me.
I support that. Okay, our next book is A Story About Afia. And this is written by James Barrie, the poet, and it's illustrated by Anna Cunha. And this book, I have to say, the New York Times list has some stuff that wasn't my favorite. I mean, this is a beautiful book, and I'm really glad that it exists. But to me, it's not one of the best books of the year, and here's why. The illustrations are magic. I mean, they are stunning. I love them. Check out these beautiful illustrations. Every page, I mean, it was hard to pick one to show, but the text reads like a very sophisticated adult poem. And I found the text didn't work at all when I would pause to absorb these beautiful illustrations. The text for me only worked when I had to read it through a third time and I didn't look at the pictures. I just read it through as if I was reading a poem. Then I felt like it was very elevated and very elegant and wonderful. But as a picture book where you want to stop and you want to, engage with the pictures as you're engaging with the text, I didn't feel like it succeeded on that level. So I have to go thumbs down on this one.
Yeah, I can't imagine sharing it with a kid. So
yeah.
Okay, in our Publishers Weekly, I talked about Outside In. I gave it a thumbs down. I can't remember, Sam. I think you gave it a thumbs down as well. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Are we on to the most ginormous book on any of these lists? And by ginormous, I mean it's huge. Look at how tall and wide this book is. I love a giant book, except for when I'm shelving them, because sometimes they don't fit on normal shelves. But this is a really large scale book, a really interesting book about the story of Flannery O'Connor. I learned things about Flannery O'Connor that I had no idea about. I mean, she's an amazing writer, an amazing woman. But I have to say, this is kind of like the last book. I don't know who I would share this book with. It feels very sophisticated. It isn't a book that I would share with probably a first grade class. It might be worthwhile sharing it with like a 5th grade or 6th grade class, but then they're looking at a picture book and I'm not sure they're going to be interested in engaging with these kinds of illustrations. Yeah. So it's a beautiful book. I'm glad it was written. I'm glad it exists. Best book of 2020? Not for me. Sorry, New York Times.
Our next book is There Must Be More Than That by Shinsuke Yoshitake. And you'll remember that he wrote one of our favorite books, Still Stuck.
So we made every person on staff listen to that book.
So I had really high expectations. And it is a delightful book. It's all about the concept of future. So it is definitely not a picture book I would share at story time. I think it would work probably in a first or second grade classroom when they're discussing time. Is it a best book? No.
I'm not going to vote because I didn't get to read that one, but I'm sad because I loved Still Stuck.
I know.
It's one of my favorite books of the year that year.
I mean, it's a great concept book because what is future? But
yeah. But maybe not one of the best books of 2020. I mean, that's
right.
kind of what we're here to do, is to take it to the New York Times and be like, come on, people.
Do you talk to children ever? No, they don't.
On that note, let me show you the next book on my list. This book right here, it's called When You Look Up. And the first thing I will point out about this is a 184-page picture book. This is a tome. I mean, this thing is huge, which isn't always bad, right? Like The Invention of Hugo Cabret is one of the most amazing books ever, and it's like probably 450 pages long. But this one just didn't work for me. It's a Spanish translation. Sometimes books that are translated from other countries, the sensibility is just a little different. That could be the case here. I didn't find the main character engaging. I didn't really enjoy the illustrations. To be honest, for my money, this wouldn't have made it on the best book list at all. I mean, this is one of those few circumstances where I'm like, nah. I mean, it wouldn't be one of my favorite books. It wouldn't be on a best of 2020. Certainly never in story time. I got halfway through and just didn't feel like continuing to read, and so I didn't finish. So maybe the second half totally changes everything. But if you have to read 90 pages and you're still not engaged, it's just not a book that I think is fantastic. So New York Times, once again, thumbs down.
Okay, the next book I am excited about. It's called The Wanderer by Peter van den Ende, and it is a wordless picture book. And you and I both share a love of wordless picture books.
Yes, we do.
So, but the story has to be carried because you have to make up the story in your head. And does this book succeed? Yes, it does. It is about a paper boat and the journey it goes on.
Wow.
And it's such a great opportunity for kids to learn to narrate. So I would say this is a great picture book, older, 5 years old, probably 5 or 6, and then art students. It would be a great book to study for art students. So I do give this a thumbs up.
Okay, last book of the list, and this is a case where the New York Times got it right. This is a book we reviewed last week, so we won't talk about it too much except to say big thumbs up. Christian Robinson totally hits a home run with this one. Beautiful, fun, moving, touching, important book, all the things, possible Caldecott winner. So big thumbs up on that one.
So I gotta say, Sam, the New York Times is, it was a disappointment of a list this year. It's like they don't ever talk to children.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you wonder if they even think about that in their criteria. It all feels very like literary picture books rather than picture books that are really enjoyable. And yeah, I agree. There's a lot of the stuff that I just didn't really feel like was my favorite.
Yeah, because to me, a great picture book has a great storyline, great pictures, and engages children. Because the whole point of a picture book is to get them to want to read and start reading.
Yes, exactly.
So
2 thumbs down for New York Times greatest picture book list this year.
But stay tuned because next week we will be posting school library journal, and I think we both had a lot of winners on that one. So we'll see you soon.
Those folks know a thing or two about picture books.
Yes, they do. Bye-bye.